This is a special report on the effects of COVID-19 brought to you from the years 2021, 2025, and 2030. GBE News with Janet, Daniela, and Victoria representing the University of Texas at El Paso. This is life after adapting to one of the deadliest pandemics in history.
Start this hour with the U.S. COVID crisis. 148,000 new cases reported yesterday.
Daily coronavirus cases that are accelerating across the U.S.
The world surpassing 1 million deaths from the coronavirus.
As the country approaches yet another tragic marker of the pandemic.
Breaking news, it's Saturday, November 15, 2030, and today we're covering the effects of COVID-19, which started in 2020. It caused havoc that scientists call one of the deadliest pandemics in history. This is a special report with the GBE News 7 with Victoria Ward.
Welcome to GBE News. Today is Saturday, November 15, 2025, and today we're going to cover the effects of one of the deadliest pandemics reported in human history that started 10 years ago. Thank you for joining us. I am Daniela Villegas at GBE News.
Good morning and welcome to Special Report. Today is Saturday, March 27, 2021. In today's Special Report, we'll cover the impact of COVID-19, one of the deadliest pandemics in the world. What scientists predict will happen in the near future. Thank you for joining me. I am Janet Ives, GBE News.
Thank you for joining me. I am Janet Ives with GBE News. Today's topic, we will cover the COVID-19 pandemic as far as CDC guidelines that were implemented back in 2020 and how a year later some of those CDC guidelines still continue to be implemented. Let's go back to March of 2020 when the United States got hit with COVID-19. And the CDC guidelines made the public aware of the precautions and also the symptoms of COVID-19. Precautions were to constantly wash your hands, don't touch your face, and avoid sick people. Symptoms were shortness of breath, that I'm having right now, but I don't have COVID, high fever, and cough. Those were the symptoms that were implemented back in March of 2020. As we all recall, we were required to wear a mask if we were going to go out in public. They told us that if there was no need for us to go out, to please stay at home. One of the ones that was implemented back in March of 2020 was that if we do needed to go out in public, we needed to stay within 6 feet distance of the public. That is one of the ones that continues now days in 2021, that if we do still go out in public, we must stay within 6 feet distance from others when out in public. Thank you for joining me. I am Janet Ives. Stay safe.
Coronavirus pandemic, with candidates straining to reach voters virtually, and state and federal officials now rethinking how to hold an election during an outbreak.
Good morning, everybody. One more time, thank you for staying with us at GBE News. And thank you also to my partner, Janet Ives, for speaking with us about the COVID-19 guidelines that they were happening in the year 2020. But right now, I'm going to speak a little bit of the elections that happened on that year. So with the pandemic, 3 of every 4 voters was doing it through mail. But the U.S. President Donald Trump has regularly attacked mail-in voting, referring to it as a whole big scam. With the country having the results of the following president from the Democrat Party, Joe Biden, it's more than likely that the president at that time, President Trump, was gonna try to find out a way if that was a fraudulent election or not. Thank you for staying with me. Now we're gonna go with my partner, Victoria Ward. Thank you, Victoria.
Industries that have been affected by coronavirus in 2020 and now in 2030. So in 2020, countries were limiting travel to minimize the spread of COVID-19. In 2020, to prevent the mass outbreaks that kept on trending between March 2020 and until the vaccine was mass produced. It is now 2030 and things like VR have skyrocketed and changed the way that people travel. As a way to help governments, Gen Z popularized VR to help maintain steady revenues, and now if you want to travel but can't afford it or are scared of the risk, you can do it all from the comfort of your own home. Entertainment also took a really big hit. 2020, things like movie theaters, theme parks, and hospitality took a major hit after the pandemic because of country and state guidelines that deemed these services as non-essential, which meant they weren't allowed to operate at full capacity and even had to shut down during the breakouts. It is now the year 2030, and we no longer have movie theaters since they converted to delivering drinks and snacks that remind us of the traditional experience. We now buy movies online through their platforms that resemble popular streaming services like Netflix and Hulu. Theme parks are once again regaining popularity since having to cut down prices and implement safe and clean measures for the safety of their guests. The hospitality industry has also had to accept they are a dying industry because of things that were very popularized, like Airbnbs and Clean Pods, which is a new service that sterilizes the air and environment around people.
Hello guys, one more time, and thank you Victoria for presenting about all the industries that were affected in 2020 during the deadly pandemic that we were living through. Now I'm going to speak a little bit of the new culture that we needed to implement after the pandemic hit us in the world. There's a new culture, and we can say it is a healthy culture. We started with the social distancing, which is 6 feet apart, drive-through in restaurants and every kind of store. Also hand sanitizer stations and everywhere you can see them. We also reduced the hours of operation of businesses, as also we implemented new cleaning protocols at our houses and also at every businesses. Thank you so much for staying with me. Now we're going with my partner, Janet Ibelles. Thank you, Janet.
Welcome and thank you for joining me today. Today's special report, we will cover the stock market. How did the pandemic of COVID-19 impact our economy back in 2020, now in 2021, a year later? We will also take it back a few years, back to 2007 and 2009, and how the Great Recession of 2007 and 2009 compares to our economy nowadays. Let's start by going back to March of 2020. As we can see here, our stock market was down quite a bit. We were under 21,222. Little by little, it increased. We're still up 14% compared to 2018. And today in our market, this is year 2021. Today our market is doing fairly good compared to other years. We are in the high 29,000s. And let's go to what people call the Great Recession. This is 2007, 2009. As we could see, we had a V shape, which economists consider this to be a good economy shape, where we know our economy went down a lot, but we know also that our economy is going to go up. This is what they call the V-shaped economy. And if you are wondering what's considered a recession means that we have 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth, and that's when a recession is happening in our economy. Going back to 2020, many economists did agree that the U.S. had entered a recession, but that was due to all of the unemployments that were happening around the United States. That's been my report for today on the economy. Thank you for joining me. I am Janet Ibelles with GVE News. Thank you.
Technology that has been created as a result of COVID-19. Drone delivery systems, e-companies, Advanced VR, 7G internet, and phone speeds, as well as smart homes, are something that we adjusted to in 2030 as a way of life. Things like e-companies as well took off with things like virtual dating. You can even buy things online like cars, homes, and boats, etc., things you could never do before. Also, advanced VR really took off because of virtual travel. Advanced phones, even concerts. As seen here in this clip of Michael Jackson doing a holographic performance from beyond the grave. So this is something that we normalized in 2030 because, again, it minimizes the risks for leaving the home.
Thank you for joining me. I am Janet Reyes with GV News. So have you wondered when your kids will be returning back to school? Well, a year later, we're still here. As you can see, this is my desk. This is my daughter's desk. We are currently sharing a room where she does her homework and I do my work. For some parents, it has become very difficult to stay at home and help their kids with their education. It's been a year since our children got sent home from school on spring break, and they got a week extended vacation, hoping that COVID-19 will go away within a 2-week period. Unfortunately, we're still here. No sign of a vaccine coming out soon. And if you ever wonder how do schools measure when it's safe for kids to go back to school, this is at their measure. If it's on green, of course, kids are welcome back to school. If it's in yellow, you have the option of sending your kids back to school or keep them virtually. If it's on red, there is no chance the schools will reopen. So there you have it. If your state, city, it's on red, this means no school anytime soon. So you will have your kids at home for a little longer until we're in the clear, which it'll be here or here. Thank you. If you have any questions, please call your school district for questions that you might have. Thank you for joining me. GEV News.
Hello guys, thank you for staying with us at GPE News, and also thank you Janet for all the information given about our kids. So let's just stay safe at home for now. Right now I'm going to speak a little bit about the vaccines that they're currently working on to prevent the COVID-19 pandemic. So during this year, the vaccine has started to being tested, but it's not approved yet. It can take a little while before they start implementing it to the people. Even though if they approve it or not, it's gonna take a little bit longer so everybody can get it at the time. But we're pretty sure that it will first be used under the emergency use authorization from the United States Food and Drug Administration. Also, the CDC, which is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, assured that there will be a limited supply for the COVID-19 vaccines before the end of this year, but the supply will increase in the following months. So hopefully by the end of this year, which is in 2 months, we're gonna have a resolution for the vaccine so that people can start getting it, and by the beginnings of the next year, all of our kids and seniors can continue to get the vaccine too. Thank you so much for staying with me.
Vete. Todo nos corres, abuelita. Aquí estoy, mi reina. Aquí estoy. Orando, Señor.